back to my channel. I hope that you're doing well. Welcome to another video, and welcome to a video where I expose myself. I'm going to be reacting to my 23 books I wanted to read in 2023, see how well I did, see how well I didn't, and just see if I liked the books that I picked for the year of 2023. I have a feeling this is not going to go great. I am notoriously bad at these. I really am. I'm just hoping that I have read half. That is my goal. I'm crossing my fingers and praying that I've at least read half of them. So without further ado, let's expose myself and see if I've read the 23 books I wanted to read in 2023. Okay, terrible screenshot of what I'm looking at here, but I did remember that this is the year that I chose to pick things out of a jar. At least 11 of my 23 were picked out of a jar, and I didn't know beforehand what I was going to be reading. So this is going to be dicey because I'm not really sure if I know anything about these. I'm gonna first quickly start with the ones that I don't own. The first one being first one, The Ravenwood by Kate Stewart. The first one was Flock. Interesting. My first one was The Ravenhood. I said The Ravenwood, just ignore me. The Ravenhood by Kate Stewart. Yeah, I did read this. I'm really surprised actually that this was on this list because I do not remember that being on this list, but I did reread Flock, and then I read the entirety of the series, and then I read the series again in the latter half of the year, and then read One Last Rainy Day. So I did read this, surprisingly enough. So I'm really proud of myself. That was good. I read not only the second book of the series, but the entire thing. So let's move on. Okay, the next series is Tattered and Torn by Catherine Cowles. The first one being Tattered Stars, the second one being Falling Embers. And I did not read this. And it wasn't because I didn't enjoy the first book in the series. It was because I had read another book by Catherine Cowles at the end of last year, and I didn't love it as much. And so I was afraid that if I continued reading her books, that I wasn't going to love them. So then I didn't prioritize this one. I do want to go back and read this book, and hopefully I will enjoy it just as much as the first book. I gave the first book 5 stars. I really, really loved the first book. So I'm really curious to see what I'm going to think of book 2. Hopefully it's better than the last one. So I've read one, and I have not read one. So far, 50-50. Not too bad. Okay, moved on to series that I actually own, and the first one here is Dark Dawn by Jay Kristoff, the last and final book in the Nevernight series. I didn't read this. I have been telling myself that I'm going to reread the first 2 books in order to get to the last book, because it's been so long since I read books 1 and 2 that I don't remember the details. But have I reread the series? No. No, I have not. So, I'm embarrassed, you guys. It's already not starting off great, and I was hoping I was going to do better than this, but I'm not doing better. So that's unfortunate. Another one that I haven't read, and I do still really want to read it. Okay, moving on. We pulled the Inheritance Games series. I did read the first 3 books in this core trilogy. Okay, The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I did read, like I said in this video, the core 3 books in the series, and then she came out with another book called The Brothers Hawthorne, which follows 2 of the brothers in that series, and I did not read this. I just bought it, actually. Finally, after a year of it being on my 23 books to read in 2023, I just finally bought the book in December. And have I read it? No. I want to read it. I think that I'm a little nervous for this one because I don't know if it's going to be as good as the core trilogy. Following the brothers, I really enjoyed the game and the love triangle romance, which is very strange for me to say. You didn't hear it from me, okay? Let's pretend I just scrubbed that from your memory because I don't like love triangles, but I did enjoy this one. And overall, I'm just nervous. I'm nervous, and I'm going to read it because the next book is coming out next year, and I don't want to get behind. If anything, I'm trying to catch up on series, not get behind on series, so I do want to read it, but I did not read it this year. So what are we, 3-1? Not going well, guys. Oh, no. Ooh, an ad. I'm going to pay myself. Then we have the Briar series. I don't know which book I picked up on my shelves. Finally, one that I've actually read. The Play by Elle Kennedy, the 3rd book, but I think this was a stand-in for the 4th book, The Dare, in the Briar series. And I did read The Dare. I finished up that series this year, and I really enjoyed it. I have moved on to Elle Kennedy's new series, so yay. I'm finally finished with her backlist, hockey romance series. So I'm really happy that I read this. Honestly, this is bringing me joy. Hopefully we can continue. So 2 to 3. Okay, let's bring those numbers up. We can do this. But yeah, I did really enjoy this one. I think I gave it 4 stars. And overall, I love Elle Kennedy's writing, and I'm excited to see what she comes out with next. Then we have the Red Queen series by Victoria Aveyard. The next book Okay, the next one I pulled was the Red Queen series by Victoria Aveyard, and I've actually DNF'd the series. I did not read King's Cage, but after looking over my series list, I decided that this is not a series that I would like to continue on with. So I did DNF this, so obviously I did not read it. That's not great for my stats, but I'm glad that I'm getting rid of books and series that I know that I'm not going to continue on with, and I was just being honest with myself. So I'm glad that I did that, but I'm sad that I didn't read it because my numbers are looking real small.
All right, then we have the Imperium trilogy by
Okay.
Claire Legrand.
It's just going so well. The next one is the Imperium trilogy by Claire Legrand. The first one being Furyborn. The second one is King's Cage. I did reread Furyborn this year in anticipation of reading King's Cage, and I didn't read it. That's a theme for me here because I also reread some other books, the first books in series, to move on to the second books in the series, and then I didn't read them. So this is definitely one of them, and I do want to continue on with the series. I enjoyed the first book enough to reread it, and I'm excited to see where the series goes. I just didn't prioritize it this year. I also don't have the physical copy on my shelves when I moved here, so that was like bad on me for not planning better to have these books in my possession, but I didn't read it. I don't even know what the numbers are. I'll keep them on the screen so you guys can, you know, see it, but it's not looking good.
Okay, then we have Lumberjanes. Oh my goodness, I've had this series on...
Lumberjanes, Volume 2. I read Volume 1, God, I don't even remember, 2020 maybe. It has been a long while, and spoiler alert, I didn't read it. I decided I was going to reread Volume 1 and then go back to Volume 2. I didn't do either, so... yeah, I tend not to prioritize graphic novels as much as I should. I know that I need to read them, and I know they're on my series list, and I know they would be easy reads to, like, pick up and, like, get off of my list, but I don't prioritize them. So, yeah, I did not read Volume 2 or reread Volume 1, so another tick in the no category.
Speaking of graphic novel, we have Saga, Volume 4.
Back-to-back graphic novel volumes here. Saga, Volume 4. I didn't read it. Are we seeing a theme here? Yeah, I did think about it. I think I actually added it to, like, my library. I was gonna read it, like, on my ebook, and read it there instead of picking up a physical, because I find that I'm less inclined to pick up physical graphic novels, but I didn't. I borrowed it from the library, and then I didn't pick it up, so, I don't know if that's just my lack of interest for the series, or if I just need to prioritize reading graphic novels more. From what I can remember, I have loved the series so far, so I don't know why I didn't pick it up. Also, I think that the amount of volumes in the series is making it, like, less exciting for me to want to pick it up because I know I have so many more to read before I get to the end. I think they just published Volume 10, and I'm on Volume 4, so yeah. I'll read it eventually, but another no for me.
Then we have Vampire Academy by Rochelle Mead. I read this first.
Vampire Academy by Rochelle Mead. I have another win under my belt. Thank the Lord. I did read Frostbite with every intention of moving on with the series, but I just got a little distracted by other things. But I did read it, and I enjoyed my reread. I'm excited to move on with the series, even though it is an old series. I'm having a great time with it, so I'm going to continue on eventually, at some point, maybe soon. I don't know. But I did read it. Yay. Another win for me. I don't even know how many we're at this point, but at this point, it's not looking good for halfway, you know? I think maybe this is number 3 that I've read. Okay. So, next year, I'm gonna do better.
And finally, of the ones that we've already talked about, we have The Never King.
We have The Never King by Nikki St. Crow. I didn't read it. And that book is so short. It's so short. I think the next book is called, like, The Dark One. And I've read The Never King. I needed to read The Dark One. And I didn't read it. And at this point, I'm going to have to reread The Never King to get to The Dark One. Because I don't know why. It would have been an easy one to take off my TBR too. Because, like, it's so small. But I didn't read it. So, have I read any of these? Honestly, it's been so long since I've rewatched this video. I don't even know if I've read any of them. So, at this point, I'm feeling a little dejected.
But I'm very, very excited for it to come out. And that is Something in the Dark. Oh, man.
Yeah,
the second book Things We Never Got Over.
That's wonderful. I couldn't even remember the title in this video, but it's Things We Hide from the Light by Lucy Score. I did read this! Woohoo! I actually read the rest of the series. I love the Knock 'Em Out series so much. It is one of my favorite series of all time, and I did read Things We Hide from the Light. I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. Every time I think of this series, it brings the biggest smile to my face, so I'm glad that this was the win for this next round, because honestly, I needed it, and that brings me so much joy. I love that book so much. I need to reread the entire series, because it's so good. If you haven't picked up the Knock 'Em Out series, it starts with Things We Never Got Over, and that one is so good, and it ends with Things We Left Behind, and it was just, it's incredible. I can't wait to reread them. Thank you, past Kaylani, for putting it on this list because it was so good.
So first up, we have Addicted to You by Krista and Becca.
Okay, Addicted to You by Krista and Becca Ricci. I did read this one. Okay, we're on an upward trajectory, you guys. I did read this, and I didn't love it as much as everyone else loves it, but I did move on with the series as well, and again, I didn't love that book really at all. I thought it was kind of boring, but I did read it. It's a win for me. Regardless of whether or not I liked it, I read it. So, win, win, winny, win, win. Okay, hopefully the rest of them are wins too, because this is making me reinvigorated. I like this.
I cannot continue this list without Mariana Zapata.
Oh my gosh!
Oh my goodness.
Another win! Woohoo, woohoo! We have The Wall of Winnipeg and Me by Mariana Zapata. I did read this. I'm getting excited now. Okay. I did read this one and I really enjoyed it. I think it's my least rated Mariana Zapata so far, but I still enjoyed it. It's a very chunky, thick book. It's a slow burn. I think that when I was reading it, like, it's so slow burn that they finally had gotten to like their together scene, and then I looked at my audiobook and it was like 7 minutes left and I was like, huh? And that book is 600 pages and I was like, wow, okay. Yeah, it's very slow burn, but I did enjoy it. I like Mariana Zapata's writing a lot, and it's the only like slow burn author that I continue to pick up, even though I'm not a big slow burn girly. So I'm glad that I read that one. I do have another Mariana Zapata on my shelves that I'm excited to read, so I'm glad this one was a win.
We have 2 back-to-back Anna Huang books.
Oh my gosh! The next one was King of Wrath by Anna Huang, and I have read it. I've actually caught up with that series. I've read every single book that she's released in the series so far, and based off of what I said in this video, the next one I've also read. Woohoo! I love Anna Huang. She ends up in my favorites list every year because I just love her books so much. King of Wrath was a huge win for me. King of Pride, it was even better, and I really, really loved King of Greed. So I'm really excited this was on this list because it really pushed me to pick up these books, and I'm glad I did because they are all-time favorites, and I'm just so glad that this is going well. This is going better. I'm happy about this. So hopefully the next book comes out really soon. I don't even know the release date, but I'm hoping it comes out soon so I can devour that one as well because it was just so good.
Speaking of Anna Huang, like I said,
I mentioned it earlier, another Anna Huang book, Twisted Lies. I did finish up the series. I loved it. It was so good. Twisted Lies is the last book in the Twisted series, and it's another favorite series of all time. So good, so spicy, so sexy. I really love Christian's story, and overall, I'm just glad that I read it. So I've gushed about Anna Huang enough. Let's move on.
Then we have a BookTube Book Talk darling. Everyone seems to love this, and if I don't, I think I might cry.
What is it?
Magnolia Parks,
It's Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings, and I did read this one. Woo, woo, woo. I'm so excited. I don't know if you guys saw a theme. Like, I picked romances at the end, like the books I wanted to read, and I've read every single one of them so far. So maybe that's a sign that I should just be reading more romances and putting them on my lists. But I did read Magnolia Parks, and I'm happy to say that I am not in the minority of people that didn't enjoy the story. I really loved it. It is a book that definitely got a visceral reaction out of me. I threw it and then cried. So I was angry and then sad and then happy that I read it. And I read this one physically. So if I read a 400+ page book physically, you know I had to enjoy it. So really glad that I read that one. I'm so excited to move on with the series, and I'm really glad that it was on this list.
Right, so we are doing our first fantasy romance.
We have broken the streak.
That is
Throne of Shadows by Sonia Odette, I think. I didn't read this one. I didn't even bring it with me to this new location. I don't have access to it, and I didn't read it. I bought it specifically because the underneath the dust jacket is gorgeous, and I wanted it because of that, and I haven't picked it up. So eventually, next year, once I have all of my book collection again, I will try to prioritize it, but as of right now, it's not getting read anytime soon. But it is gorgeous. Yay for that.
I mentioned Elle Kennedy earlier in this video, so let's talk
Another
about
Elle
The
Kennedy.
Legacy by Elle Kennedy.
I did read The Legacy by Elle Kennedy. I finished up, like I said, all of Elle Kennedy's, like, Briar U and off-campus series, so this is definitely one that I finished, and I really enjoyed it. I don't think it's my favorite of the series. It's like a collection of short stories following the 4 characters in the off-campus series, but I think it was nice to go back and see those characters and see their growth and them as, like, full-fledged adults doing life together. I just really enjoyed it as a whole. I think it was a great way to, like, kind of like service the fans of the series in a way that felt like genuine and fun. So I'm excited that I read that one, and you know, we're going back up. We had a low, and then we're going back up. So hopefully it continues to go up.
Many freaking TBRs. It's ridiculous, and I still haven't read it. So this time, I'm really prioritizing it. I promise.
Did I?
And that is, oh, it's upside down. Dark Harmony by Lauren Thalazza.
I promised you guys I was really going to prioritize it. And I didn't read it. But I will tell you what. I needed to read the novella before I got to Dark Harmony, and I did read the novella. So is it a win? Kind of. I don't get to count it as like I read it, but I'm getting closer to reading it. I've had this on my list for like a year and a half, and I keep telling myself I'm gonna read it. It's been on like 2 like year TBRs, and I haven't read it for like 2 years. So maybe it's actually been 2 years, not a year and a half. But oh my gosh, it's been on there. I need to read it. It's like next on my priority list because I just read the novella. So hopefully that means I can prioritize it and actually read it. But I didn't read it this year.
Last and final fantasy
romance was Daughter of No World by Carissa Broadbent, and I did read this one. Okay, I did really enjoy this one. I actually bought the rest of the books in the series because I enjoyed it so much, and I love the hardcovers of this series, and so I'm really glad that I was able to read those ones. I gave it a 4-star. I'm excited to move on with the series. I have a feeling that if I continue on with the series, it will be like 5 stars after the first one, but it's been a while since I read the first book, and I'm feeling like I need to do a reread in order to move on with the series. So maybe I can prioritize that in the beginning of the year, and I can move on with the series and finish that one up, because I would like to finish that series before I move on to the Crowns of Nyaxia series, which is the first book is Serpent and the Wings of Night. So cross my fingers I can prioritize that and I can move on with the rest of her books.
Mystic box or bell box that I just want to prioritize. The first one being Make Me Hate You by
Make Me
Candy
Hate You by Candy Steiner. I did read this, so I was really trying to prioritize reading more subscription box books in 2023, and I did okay. Maybe not the best, but I'm really trying to, you know, get them off my shelves if I don't love them, or read them and find new favorites because I have so many of them. So this was one of those, and I really enjoyed this one. I really like Candy Steiner's writing. This was a win for me. I gave it 5 stars, and I'm excited to move on with more of her work.
And the last and final book that I have here for my 23 books to read in 2023 list is Lotus by Jennifer Hartman.
A win, a win, a win! It is Lotus by Jennifer Hartman, and I did read this one. Oh my gosh, yay. I read that one actually rather recently. It was on my list for the year for a while, but I did prioritize it because the audiobook ended up getting taken down, and I didn't buy it previous to it being available. So when they republished the book and redid the audiobook, that's when I was able to pick it up. And I didn't enjoy it as much as Still Beating. It is part of the same world as Still Beating, but I did really enjoy the book as a whole. It had some issues and some things that I didn't love about it, but overall it was a good story. So I'm glad that I put it on this list because I feel like if I didn't, I wouldn't have prioritized it as much as I did this year. Okay, so I don't know what my numbers are. I feel like I maybe read half. Let me know, editing Kaylani, if I did that. I'm crossing my fingers that I did, but next year I definitely think I'm going to prioritize reading more romance books because I feel like the ones that I didn't read and prioritize were like the fantasies and the sci-fis that I put on this list, and I just didn't prioritize them. So more strictly romance is going to be my goal for next year, with the hopes that I can actually get to more of the ones that I wanted to read on these lists. Let me know if you've read any of the books that I talked about today, and also feel free to share with me if you had a 23 in 2023, how well did you do? Did you read all of the books? Were you even close? Did you read half or did you read none? Feel free to share that with me down in the comments. If you made it to the end and you don't know anything else to comment, leave like the clapping hands emoji for the small wins that I got in this video. They were small, but they were there. That is the end of this video. I really hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure to give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave, and of course leave any comments, questions, and suggestions in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!
Next, baby, turn it down like a sweet and ready. Boys, keep it nice and steady.